Developing Uganda together.
Good morning, everybody. You're welcome to this webinar. Today we're answering a critical question. We want to know, what role do customs clearing agents play in ensuring data quality? And today, I'm privileged to be joined by the very best there is. And I'll start on the extreme left, Albert Mwebembezi, country manager of SIVA, formerly known as Spedag Interfreight. Albert, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Kindly say hello to the viewers.
Thank you, Ben. Good morning, fellow panelists. Good morning, viewers. This morning, I'm delighted to be here to share some knowledge and insights on the role of customs agents in the clearing fraternity in terms of ensuring data integrity. Glad to be here.
Thank you so much, Albert. And for those who don't know, Albert is our neighbor. When we wake up in the morning, we look on our right. Eva is right next to us. So thank you so much for honoring our invite once again. And on to Albert's right, we have Stella Chisuze. Stella Chisuze works in the business intelligence section of the Department of IT&I. And Stella is the best person to talk about data integrity. It's something she's passionate about. She's been at the forefront of this whole transition, this whole movement. Just over a month ago, she trained 800 clearing agents on the same. And so we are so privileged to have you, Stella. Please say hello to the viewers.
Thank you, Ben. Good morning, everyone. We're happy to be here. Looking forward to today's webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stella. And to my left, we are privileged to be joined by Jacqueline Naweteme, a customs officer who has a rich experience for many years in different parts of customs. Right now, Jacqueline works in legal and bonds. And we are really, really, really happy to have you here, Jacqueline.
Thank you, Ben. Good morning, our viewers. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for listening in.
And my name is Benezeri Wanjala Chibita. I'm a customs officer. I also work in legal and bonds. I'd like to remind you that this is showing on URA TV, which is streaming live on Zoom, YouTube, X, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So feel free to tune into any of those. And of course, for the staff, you can just log directly into URA TV. And on that note, we'll go straight in. Mr. Mwebembezi, I think I'll start by asking, who is a customs clearing agent?
Thank you, Ben. In order to put it into perspective, find who the agent is, allow me to first say this. The law governing the customs in East Africa, which also introduces the customs agent, is the East African Community Management Act. Now, this act was a step towards regional integration, and once it was established by the Customs Union, it was then adopted by the community states as the East African Customs Community Management Act of 2004. Now, under this law, a customs clearing agent is an entity that is recognized by this act with qualified personnel that are entrusted with the responsibility of supporting and facilitating customs administration, which in our industry we normally call the clearance of goods. Now, this customs agent is also entrusted in the participation in formulation of policies, implementation of customs policies, to mention but a few.
Thank you so much for that elaborate definition. I think we now have no doubt about who a customs clearing agent is. Also, I'd like to remind everybody that's viewing that if you're on Zoom, if you're on YouTube, if you're on X, you can ask any questions that you have. Feel free to write them in the chat. And we have a team, a very competent team, led by our supervisor, Alfred Okoya. and colleagues Judith Sechito, Evelyn Ako, and Robert Biamukama. They are all going to work together to respond to your questions. So feel free to ask anything in the chat and it will be addressed very quickly. So would like to go to the next question. And Jackie, I think I'll address this to you. After we've known what a customs clearing agent is, would like to know that how does one become a customs clearing agent? But also would want to know that how are you able to distinguish between an authentic one and one that's not authentic?
Thank you very much, Ben. From the same law that my colleague has just mentioned, the Commissioner Customs is mandated under Section 145 to appoint a person as a clearing agent. And under the East African Community Customs Management Regulations 2010, there are requirements and conditions one has to present to customs in order to be appointed a clearing agent. And from the start, this person has to show interest by applying, setting in an application into our systems, that is in the single window. They submit an application upon payment of $50 application fees. And this person must have a location where the offices are going to be, where they are going to operate from as a clearing agent. And this same person must have an entity that is duly registered by the URSB. And that organization, you know very well, it's the Uganda Registration Service Bureau. You have to be duly registered. And also you should have employed qualified personnel with qualifications that endeavor you to execute customs duties. And upon approval of the application, you're required to pay $400 for the license. And this is paid also within the system. The system generates the PRN, you go and pay, and the commissioner will there again issue you a license. A license comes out with a QR code. You asked about the authenticity, to how you can verify a license. It has the QR code, which you can know whether this license is true and accurate if it has been issued by the commissioner. And maybe to add on to that, a list of licensed agents is uploaded on the URA web portal. And there you are able to go and check and see the list of agents that have been licensed. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jackie, for that. At least now we know who a clearing agent is. We also know how we can become clearing agents, and also how we can make sure that indeed the clearing agent we are dealing with is authentic. And I think the next question I would like to go back to you, Albert. I'd like to ask you, why should a client use accredited customs clearing agents? Why is it necessary, first of all, to use a clearing agent, but also someone who is actually accredited and recognized by URA?
Thank you, Ben. Just to summarize this, we have heard that this agent has been licensed, has been given powers according to the East African Community Management Act. So for you who is trading, it's very, very important that you trade with a person that has been licensed. Now, this person will be able to advise you on how your goods will be cleared in customs. Now, this person, because has been licensed, he has gone through a rigorous procedure, has been trained, and this person will be able to help you in making declarations. Now, these declarations are the platforms where data is input into the ASCUDA system for URA, and this can only be done by a person that has been licensed by URA. So to you who is outside there, you need to utilize an accredited customs clearing agent. Now, it's also important that this agent, since he has been licensed by URA, is acting on their behalf. Now, on the other side, this agent is also looking forward to the importer or the owner of the goods. Now, there are certain questions which we call queries in customs that come across. Now, it's only the licensed, the accredited agent that can answer such queries on your behalf. So it's important that you who is outside there, you are a trader, you are a business person, that you ensure that you use accredited agent. Now, the other thing is, which is very, very most important, is that you do not need to be on the wrong side of business. Now, for you to make sure that you are safe, it is important that you utilize an accredited customs agent. Just to summarize a few. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Albert. I think we can now say we understand the first part in our question, which is who a clearing agent is, how we become a clearing agent, but also why we should use a clearing agent in doing business. Now we'd like to progress very quickly to the core, the most important part, the crux of this whole discussion, which is data. As we might all know, URA is now focused on data. Data is the future, it's now the present. And one of the people that has been very instrumental in implementing all the policies is right here with us, and it's Stella. We are really happy to have you, and I'd like to ask you that what is entailed in the URA data governance policy?
Thank you, Ben. Our dear viewers, URA is implementing a data governance strategy or program. So in this data governance program, we have data management policy. That is how the whole policy comes in. And this policy exists to govern both staff and clearing agents. So what happens is the policy stipulates the roles, the structures in there, how are we handling our security, and it's guided by the DAMA wheel. Now, as an institution, we've chosen to go by these principles. There are many other types of standards you can follow, but this is one of the standards we're following. And in this standard, we talk about data architecture, security, metadata management, and so that is how data quality also comes in. So data quality is one of the essential parts of managing data as an organization. So if you say that you're managing your data, there are some things that you must do. One of them being a policy. Now, in this policy, we quote other policies. We don't just have the policy in isolation. We have the Information Act, the Access to Information Act 2005. We have the Data Protection and Privacy Act of 2019. We have the East African Customs Management Act. And in these three acts, among the other acts, you find aspects that speak to data quality. For example, we talk about Data Protection and Privacy Act, Section 15. It says you as a taxpayer or you as a clearing agent, the law demands that you provide accurate information, complete accurate data to the organization. Not only URA, it is all government entities. So it means when you make that declaration, our expectation is that it's going to be accurate, it's going to be complete. Whenever you amend your address, your phone numbers, our expectation is you're going to come back to URA and tell us what has changed in your profile, in your declaration. That's why you have some people doing amendments. There are other acts that we refer to if you're caught, say in the law, if you're caught in the wrong side of the law, there are many other acts, as you can see, that would be used. We have the East African Customs Management Act. That one speaks to giving false and misleading statements to the URA. That one you all know as clearing agents. So we have laws that guide, and in our policy we have we've stipulated issues like we've defined who is a data generator. We have different people, different actors or stakeholders, and one of them being a data generator, and that's exactly how you come in. As a clearing agent, like my colleague said, we have systems. We have Ascuda, we have eTax for those who deal also in domestic taxes, but specifically to Ascuda, we expect that when you're inputting that information, you're going to be accurate, because in this particular scenario, you are a data generator. You're the one generating the data. You're the beginning of the data. So if you give us wrong information at that start, there will be a problem. So that is why you are defined in this policy. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that, for giving us the background, and also the fact that this is not just a suggestion, this is the law mandates it. And if we're to go deeper into this, I'd like to ask you, what is data quality and what is data processing? But also, what are the objectives of that data governance policy that you've spoken about? What does URA aim to achieve?
Thank you, Ben. Our viewers, when we talk about data quality in URA, we are looking for accuracy. If you're inputting a phone number, is it the digits, the number, I think they're 10 digits? Or are you leaving out the last that we can't contact you? If it is a name at TIN registration, because everything begins with our register, do we have the correct names? Now, when it comes to customs information, are you giving us the right HS code? Are you choosing the right HS code? Is the country of origin the correct country of origin? That is in terms of accuracy. When we talk about completeness, we have entries where some of the agents don't input the container number. So while you're looking at information for customs, this information is also used by other departments, tax investigations. We do have stakeholders. Okay, so we need you to have complete. Don't jump some boxes thinking they're not important. For us, they are important. Is it on time, or do you wait for queries for you to input? Because sometimes you may wait for queries and then you're starting to answer what you did not answer. Is it consistent, or do we have a phone number here, a different phone number there? Because that is what we talk about when we talk about data quality in URA. You asked about data processing. When it comes to our purposes, we're talking about what we go through to bring this data from what you put in as raw data, and then we collect, we organize, we make summaries. As I mentioned earlier, customs roles, one of the roles of customs is trade statistics. They will not bring the entry and submit it to the ministry, no. What happens is you submit your entries and we are required to provide to the nation total number of maybe imports to Sudan, total number of exports to Rwanda. Now these summaries are made from the declarations that you prepare. So that is what I would say about data processing. Maybe quickly talk about the objectives of this policy. It is basically meant to outline what are your do's, your don'ts. What are the roles? If you're caught in the wrong side of a law, what is to happen to you? It guides us on how to manage our data. Like I said, security. It defines the role of security. Who is supposed to access what information and to what extent? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stella. Jackie, I'll come to you now, and I'll ask you, as a customs officer, what would you say to me as a clearing agent if I'm to ask, like, what is the role of a clearing agent in ensuring data quality? And yeah, what is the role?
Thank you very much, Ben. As my colleague has explained, I'll further give more explanations about the role of a clearing agent. We know very well that our clearing agents they are at the forefront. They are the ones that interface the clients. So we request that you take due diligence and ascertain the correctness and accuracy of the documents that you get from your clients. So this role is very big. You should be able to ascertain, to look at the document. Has this client really given me the right document? Am I able, is the data in the documents given accurate? Is it reliable? Is it consistent from the time that the importer or the client goes to probably Dubai to buy these things? Is the information provided consistent all through? Is it consistent from the time the goods were bought, transported, up to arrival to Kampala, or up to arrival to the warehouse? So all this information that you're getting from your client should be reliable, should be accurate, so that at the end of the day, when the data analysts are looking through the data, they are able to get the right information and make informed decisions. So clearing agents should go an extra mile to analyze, actually to do documentary check on behalf of the customs officer, to be able to tell the client that, no, I think this document is not right. Please avail me with the correct document so that I can declare correctly in the system. And this will also reduce on the back and forth queries that are what? Queries that are always issued to clients. This causes a lot of wastage of time. There is a lot of time wasting in querying, then waiting for you to answer back. It causes delays in the clearance process. So we request the agents to know to go an extra mile to do documentary check in these documents so that the right data is put into the system. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline. We really appreciate everybody that's tuned in. Quite a number of us are tuned in. Like I said, you can ask the questions. I'll give a few. I can't read everything, but just to give you some of the things that people are saying in the chat. We have Regan Basoga. Greetings, Regan Basoga. That is, I think, acting manager, Southwestern. It says this is very educative. Cheers. Thank you. There's an anonymous attendee who has said, how much have we done to ensure that we cross-reference our data with other institutions? And what success stories do we have from that? I'm sure this is being answered right now in the chat. But in case it isn't, we shall answer it later. Please keep the questions coming. And while we are still on that topic, so that we don't break the momentum, I would like to ask each of you from all the perspectives. We have Jacqueline, Customs Officer. We have Albert, who is a clearing agent. And then we have Stella, who is behind the transition into data, and whose responsibility it is to ensure that data integrity is kept. I want to ask each of you, to get each of your perspectives, that what are the dangers of having poor quality data, and what is the importance of good quality data? I think I'll start with you, Albert.
Thank you, Ben. The agent sits between the regulator and the client, and that position is very, very vulnerable, because sometimes it puts us as agent in a situation where we are not supposed to be. Now, I'll give an example. We are the ones responsible for preparing declarations, inputting data into a SCUDA. Now, although URA has defined us as the data generators, we are picking some of this information from documents. Now, these documents are documents between the importers and the supplier of this cargo. So in certain situations, we do as much as possible to do quality check, due diligence, but because we are dealing with very many people, some of them are not educated, some are educated, some of them the language is totally different. There is need for interpretation, translation. So somehow in between there is a challenge that data might be not very accurate because of those transitions. But just to answer your question, some of the impacts of having poor quality data, one of them, and it's not only to URA, also to us who are the agents or the owners of these agencies, is inaccurate decision making. If you do not have accurate data, you are likely to make the wrong decision. And that decision will not only affect URA, but will also affect you as a company in terms of your performance and in terms of the business you're growing. So it's very, very important that you check your data before it is input into the SCUDA system, which then affects the entire government. Of course, other impacts would be like increased risk. You need to give the government the correct information so that it can manage the risks. Now, one of the reasons why URA is there is not only for revenue collection, it's also for protection of the country at large. So we need to give them the accurate information of the goods we are importing so that they are able to account for each and everything for the start.
Okay, thank you very much. I think Jackie, if you can also tell us what are the dangers of poor quality data? Actually, what are some of the data quality issues that exist from a customs point of view, and what are their dangers?
Thank you very much. Some of the issues that we have identified in the day-to-day work as we interface with the SCUDA declarations, we see a lot of misclassification, a lot of misdeclarations, where someone calls a shot, a TV. We have seen a lot of misuse of EPCs, that is extended procedure codes, even misuse of CPCs. And this, in the end, causes revenue loss, of course, to the government, but also to the client. When we identify these errors, of course, there are some, it's an offense that you have committed, and this may turn out to be an offense, and you are expected to pay penalties onto that. And this increases your cost of doing business. So, as earlier I said, that it causes also delays in clearance of your goods. The entry will delay in the system. You have misclassifications. You have to amend. Amendment also requires you to pay some fees. So, there are so many issues surrounding data quality. That's why we have organized this webinar, so that agents take due diligence and ensure that accurate information is fed into the system to avoid these delays. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Stella, if is there, from your perspective, what do you think is the impact? What are the dangers of poor quality data, but also what is the importance of good quality data?
Thank you, Ben. From the aspect of business intelligence or the data analysts in URA, the quality of your data will affect policy formulation, because this information that we have is what we use to decide policies. For example, a country wants to know the government may want to know what we are exporting to Sudan, so we can have a bilateral. Then you look at the exports data, and we see, according to the export data, it says we're exporting a lot of wheat. Now, we found that when you dig into the wheat, you find gorillas, mosquito nets. As you remember in some of those to whom we spoke to, people are misclassifying things, putting them under the wrong HS codes. Now, this impacts decision making, even at the URA level. When the leaders in URA want to make decisions, they go back to the data. You want to know maybe which station has the highest imports or exports, or what kind of imports or exports are passing through here. Sometimes we have also investors asking us, they want to know which product is on high demand. For example, if it's maybe in the spices sector, you want to know, are we importing a lot of garlic? Do we need to encourage our farmers to grow garlic? Now we go back to the data and see how much garlic came in. Where is it coming from? Now, when you give us wrong data, if you misclassify garlic because you're trying to undervalue or underdeclare, there's a problem for policy formulation for the investors, because then we don't need an investor in garlic farming because we have enough garlic. We don't import garlic. Same as oils. Like my colleague said also, whenever you misclassify, it affects the summaries that we get. I could give another example of data we found where a car was valued at 1 billion shillings. Like he says, if the agents are supposed to do quality assurance of these documents, you would notice that the car has 1 billion. Which kind of car would be valued at that much? So this is the kind of check we are requesting for, such that we can deal with it. But on high level, it does affect data policy formulation, trade statistics, and decision making from an analyst's perspective.
Thank you so much. I think there are many more questions coming in. We have a gentleman called Michael Manzi. Michael Manzi is very expressive in this question. He says, but you people are not fair. You put extremely high taxes on TVs, laptops, and phones that these clearing agents can't clear on our behalf. How can someone pay 50,000 per inch of a TV, really? Then somebody else has asked, Benson Nahurira, that said, pardon me on the amount for the license and registration. I think that's for you, Jackie. And then Grace says, what are the new policies, procedures that have been introduced in place to help an agent do their roles with no delays and inconveniences? As I said, these questions are going to be answered, but I think let me ask one more question, and if we have enough time, then we can delve into this as well. I think, Stella, I'll reserve this final question before we go into the social media questions if there is time. I'll ask you, what is being done to enhance data quality? We've been speaking about this, but we want to know, what have we done, or what can be done so that we can reach this? We've seen how important it is. How can we reach this goal?
Thank you, moderator. I will speak to a few issues. One, at institutional level, we continue to improve our processes, because from the field and from submission from our agents, our staff, we realize that some of these data quality issues are a result of process. I remember when we were country, one of the agents telling us, we may choose a wrong HS code, because if I choose the right HS code, by the time I get a TSC, it takes long. So I choose the wrong HS code, then pay the fine. So from feedback that we get from you, from the field, from taxpayers and from agents, we continue to improve our processes as an organization. We're also fixing system things. We have, you may find some boxes are not mandatory, but as a result, we make sure that they're mandatory whenever we get feedback from the field. So once you tell us now, I'm able to export. For example, we had exports are not supposed to be simplified exports, should not be more than $2,000. And that was working for staff. But then we found out that for agents, it was not locked. Now it is locked. Because if it's a simplified export, it should be less than $2,000. So on system, we continue to tie the loose ends. Process, we continue to improve. However, we also carried out sensitizations. And we are continuing. Even in a year's time will come. We know that you cannot clean data at the end. It has to be at the beginning. So we have to have sensitizations to remind us of our role. We have to continuously train the agents. We're also training staff on data analysis. We are also going to introduce KPIs once again on data quality for you, the agents. So we shall be reporting to you how you're performing with regards to data quality. So in a nutshell, that's what we are doing. We're training staff, we're training agents, we are fixing the system, we are fixing our processes, and we continue to sensitize you. So please welcome us when we come to talk to you about data quality. That is in a nutshell what I can say.
Thank you very much, Stella. I really appreciate the questions are coming in very, very fast. Also, just to advise, if the people on Zoom, kindly post your questions in the Q&A section as opposed to the chat section. They'll be responded. But for now, in the about 10 minutes we have, I think I'm going to distribute these questions. Say your prayers so that I give you the easy one. Eh? And I think what I'll do is, there's one which is straightforward for you, Jackie. Benson Ahurira wanted to know about the amount that he should pay for the license and registration if he wants to become a clearing agent. Kindly note that down. You'll answer it. Then also for you, Jackie, someone is saying that why would an officer archive an entry when everything is right for like 3 days? Patrick Zhang is saying, thank you, team, for this valuable information. Thanks for appreciating. He has followed it up with a question which I'll ask you, Stella, that how do you manage data integrity across different jurisdictions, especially if you operate internationally? I think he's asking for some advice. So this one I'll direct to you, Albert. Grace is asking that what are the new policies and procedures that have been introduced in place to help agents do their roles with no delays and inconveniences? Because from our earlier interaction, I realized you're very knowledgeable with what's going on. And I think if they hear from you, they'll be more persuasive. So I think I'll also give you this one, which is a bit tough, but I think you deal with these questions on a day-to-day basis from the business people. Michael Manzi was asking, he asked on LinkedIn that you people are not fair. You put extremely high taxes on TVs, laptops, and phones that these clearing agents can't clear on our behalf. How can someone pay 50,000 per inch for a TV, really? And then finally, Stella, I'll ask you that the anonymous attendee has said that how much have we done to ensure that we cross-reference our data with other institutions? And what success stories have we from that? Each one in a very short time, 5 minutes. Kindly answer the questions, and I'll start with you, Jackie.
Thank you. Okay, to Ben, I earlier pointed out that you have to pay $50 for application fees before you submit your application for licensing, and $400 on approval of your application. That's when you issue the PRN, you go to the bank and pay $400 for the license fees. Then to another listener who asked why an entry is archived for 3 days.
Why would an officer
Why
do
would
that?
an officer do that? I believe in DPC they work in shifts. So probably maybe an officer took an action and forgot to complete that action before going off duty, and then you find she's going to come back the following day, still night shift. So I may not have a proper answer to that, but I will engage the manager DPC to look at all the archived entries and see how to go about them so that they can be processed on time. Sorry about that.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Stella.
My dear viewer, you said, how do you manage data integrity across different jurisdictions? If I'm relating it to our discussion, I want to believe you're talking about where maybe you have offices in Kenya, Tanzania, because we have agents that work across that. What we've been doing is we sensitized, because the last round we did, we actually went to Kenya and spoke to the agents in SCT. So you as a person who is in Uganda, and maybe you have a colleague who is in another country, advocacy, speak to them, remind them, sensitize them about their role. I do hope that maybe we can have an engagement for them specifically, maybe online or physical. But in the meantime, that is one way we can do it. And again, like we said, some of the issues are, if it's to do with the SCT, we have transmission errors. So bring it to our attention. Let's see what we can fix at the system level or bilateral. The second question that was asked was, what have we done to cross-reference our data as with other institutions and the success stories? According to the Data Privacy and Protection Act, the organization that is holding your data is supposed to hold it in confidence. So NITA-U is working out a framework at the national level where we can do data sharing with ease and within the law. So once that is completed, then we'll be able to speak to this. We may cross-reference with those that we have MOUs with within the laws, but that is what we're doing at URA. And that's what I can actually say.
Thank you so much, Stella, for that. There are very, very many questions, but I think, Albert, you answer the two that,
Okay.
that we answer as we see whether we have enough time for the rest.
Okay. You asked me about the new processes and procedures that the authority is bringing on board.
Yeah.
I think over a couple of years, URA has been at it in bringing new initiatives. Almost every quarter, there is an initiative. And these initiatives are meant to sort of smoothen the clearance of goods. But along the way, we find some challenges here and there. Now, some of these initiatives that recently come on board, for example, BWIMS. Now, these BWIMS, it was meant to cure and also improve on customs clearance of goods that are ending up into the bonds. It would give us 360 visibility of how our goods are coming. It will help us to plan that you are expecting these goods and therefore arrange for clearance. However, challenges along the way in terms of network challenges, systems compatibility with the agents come in, but we believe that change is not bad. If all the agents embrace this change, even WIMS might do better in future. There are many other initiatives. I'll give an example, one more example, and URA has been transitioning in this, which is called the online help tool. Now, the help tool was meant to reduce the physical interface between the agents and URA, first of all, to cure corruption, but also to increase on the turnaround of feedback. Because when you raise a query on the help tool, it's not limited to one officer. You would imagine that there are very many officers looking at it. That was meant to quicken the response time. But along the way, we are seeing queries which are being archived. We are seeing some tickets that have been raised and are pending response for some time. So we want to call upon URA that these systems are, but let them be implemented 100%. I can tell you this touch point, if it is looked into, the tickets, when you raise it, after 4 hours, 3 hours, let it be answered. And that way I think it will take away this anxiety of an agent using an HAC, paying a penalty, because they expected a delay if they were to request for a TSC. But if these systems can be implemented 100% so that the objective can be met, they are very good and they are meant to quicken the procedure. There are so many initiatives, and I'm sure URA can run a whole slide on the initiatives that have taken place. Some of them are customs, others IFRIS and all that.
Thank you so much. And on this note, on this wonderful note, it is 3 minutes to 11. I'd like to say thank you to each of you for sparing your time. Thank you to the viewers as well for tuning in. Thank you for all the questions. They're still coming in. I see here about 20 questions. They're all going to be responded to. Some of them on the chat, others will be responded to through the platforms that we have where we share information with the clearing agents. Thank you so much. Thank you to the team here, both the customs planning and also PCA. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to discuss the nexus between customs and data. And we really appreciate it. See you next time.
URA, sinaba kusasula msolo Janet. Lete basa je nakuwa. Bannange sinasasula URA. Aya, esawa zigenda kuggwayo. Sibye bino, waliwo basa je nasembayo kuwa. Aya, esawa zonna. Ebiyinza okuba nga bye bino, kangende biranja bikeberere. Afande, njagala kudduka genda kusasula musolo ngenda kusanga basibyewo.
Nyabo, ekyo kibadde kipakusa. Tokimanyi nti URA yabigonza dda. Kati usokusasula kusimyo nyabo.
Nti afande.
Onyigawunize star 285 ogobeje emitendera egyo. Ngofuna ka message. Ate URA yakuwaliza ekyapula. Teba kubanga URA.
Thank you so much, Afande.
Okalubirizibwa okusasula omusolo gwa bizinesi y'omubudde? Genda bugenze mu ssimu nnyonyige kamunyenye 285#. Abaddukanya bizinesi entono eziyingiza wakati wa miliyoni 10 ne miliyoni 15 omwaka bakwanguyirwa okusasula omusolo gwabwe ogwa presumptive tax nga banyigabanyizi kamunyenye 285#, banyumirwe enkola enennyangu etali mu nsindikagano.
Nyabo, bannange bya ddala. Janet, omuntu awonye layini. Gwe, ngenda kusasuliranga ku ssimu labayo bannange.
Tuzimbire wamu ebiseera by'omu maaso ebitangaavu nga tunyiga kamunyenye 285# olunaku lwonna, essaawa yonna, wonna w'oli. Uganda Revenue Authority, tukulaakulanyize wamu Uganda.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda.